Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, this is Commissar here, and today I have a 1 vs 1 Starcraft 2 commentary for you from DreamHack, the recent DreamHack Winter Tournament which has just occurred. And today's replay is from the group stages. It is a best of 3 series. This is game number 1, and the series is between none other than Evil Genius's ThorZaiIN, our Red Terran player, spawning in the bottom left hand side of the map today, which is Daybreak, and his opponent is none other than the teamless player, the Swedish Protoss, known as NaNiwa. Okay, so obviously these two players are two of the bigger titles, bigger names rather, in esports outside of Korea. NaNiwa, of course, a Code S player. Not at the moment. He did indeed come in the round of 32 in his last bouting in the GSL Code S, but that was following several consecutive rounds where he made it to the round of 8. So NaNiwa is considered to be one of the best players in terms of his ability to compete with Koreans, and that's a pretty good standard to go by. Other results include him getting results like, I think, 9 to 12th in the last MLG, so again, he's had some good results lately, but nothing huge, no big wins for quite some time, not since 2011. So he is not in a slump because he's playing well, but the results just haven't quite been coming through for him. Conversely, for ThorZaiIN, we do have a ton of big results for him. Of course, he did in April win the DreamHack Stockholm event for over $10,000, where he took out Pult in the grand finals. He did win the recent Asus ROG Invitational, I believe it was $4,000 back then, and he did also win the WCS Swedish Nationals, where he got a total of $6,000. Okay, so recent results for ThorZaiIN are very strong in terms of his wins. He's made quite a fair bit of money lately. This year he's got one of the highest earning players outside of Korea, I think, which is pretty impressive. So of course, would I consider him the favourite? Probably not. It's pretty much even between these two players. NaNiwa, of course, just has that reputation of being a top player, being a Korean standard player. And I'd almost consider him the favourite despite him not having any huge wins, just because he is known to be that good. Okay, in terms of the two build orders so far, you will notice that NaNiwa has gotten nothing too exciting going on in his base. Obviously, he is going for a fairly normal opener, going for a very fast Nexus, as is typical in PvT. Both sides do like to expand very, very quickly, and that is also shown by ThorZaiIN, who is getting a fast expansion of his own. I believe ThorZaiIN, yes, he did get his barracks up a little bit before the command center went down, adding on a second barracks now, and you'll see a lot of Terrans just go straight to command center first. Obviously, the advantage in getting this early barracks is that you can be aggressive with it. You can see, rallying out to the watchtower, we are going to see ThorZaiIN try and take some map control, try to get some scouting, maybe harass the space a little bit, but unless he's getting Marauders out, he'll have a lot of trouble actually doing any damage, as of course the Stalkers are great against Marines in small numbers. But the fact that he is getting 3 racks out very, very quickly, the fact that he is getting his gas up as well, suggests that he might indeed just be going for timing in a few minutes' time, where he'll move out with a couple of Marauders and a bunch of Marines. It can be very powerful. It's fairly normal, it's nothing too out of the ordinary, but if executed well, it can do some good damage, it can stuff up the Protoss build. NaNiwa will probably have prepared for it though. The cool thing for NaNiwa is that he is indeed sending out his Stalkers onto the map as well, so he will have some sort of map vision. You'll notice that meanwhile ThorZaiIN has actually abandoned the watchtower. He is retreating to the bunker at his natural expansion in case of any sort of early 4-gate pressure, that sort of thing, because 4 gates, or say a 2-base 3-gate pressure, would be coming in about 30 seconds, a minute from now. 4-gate, of course, would be coming about now, but the 3-gate pressure of 2 bases, a build that I like to use quite a lot, can come maybe 30 seconds later, 6 minutes 30, that sort of time. So really this bunker is timed to deal with any sort of super early pressure, and I believe that he'd just have to throw down more bunkers if he saw anything like an all-in. Okay, so in the main base for ThorZaiIN, you will notice, 3 barracks. We are getting Stim coming out at the moment. No Marauders though, so it is going to be Stim pack over that Marauder timing push. We may see a Stim timing, that's another possibility, but with Stim, most players tend to wait for Medivacs before they do make any sort of major commitments to pushes. So it appears, yeah, with the factory going down now, probably for a starport, we're just going to see some sort of long-term oriented macro bio-based play coming out of ThorZaiIN. In terms of what we're seeing on the field for NaNiwa at this stage, you'll notice that in his main base he has 2 gas geysers, no gas in the natural expansion, and he is getting 3 observers queued up, wow. So one's already out, 2 are on the way, and that is very, very, very surprising to me. I haven't really seen a player just go for 3 observers straight off the bat before. It just seems weird to me, but it does indeed suggest that he is indeed going to be going for a Blinkstalker based build. He is indeed getting the Twilight Council. He is getting the Forge for that +1 attack. Probably going to get +3 fairly quickly off that. NaNiwa, of course, is going to have great vision with these observers, with the Scout, and almost as backup so that he can blink around to the main, see what's up, and also scout any potential drops, as of course a bio-based build is probably going to attempt to utilize drops at some point in the game. Okay, so on the ThorZaiIN side of the field, we do indeed see a turret going up. That is probably to deal with DTs, I'd say, for detection. That seems to be the main purpose of it. Just very safe play by ThorZaiIN. He is indeed gearing up for the longer term, more typical, standard kind of game. NaNiwa is indeed getting a 3rd base at this time, ahead of the 3rd base of ThorZaiIN. So despite ThorZaiIN's safe, typical play, he is going to be a little bit behind on the economy. As quite often in this matchup, it is the Terran who expands first. That is normally typical. It's normally fairly similar on the base count, with the Terran being maybe 30 seconds or so ahead in terms of the base. Often the Protoss doesn't expand until he sees the Terran expand. So as a result, we are going to see these first 2 medevacs, I believe, produce a timing push from a moment, because +1 is going to finish up at about the same time as those 2 medevacs. So we are going to see a big push out here by ThorZaiIN, and taking this very greedy 3rd base from NaNiwa, it might be very difficult for him to actually hold this off. Now he is going to have force fields, so he's going to be able to force field the ramp a couple of times to get a little bit more time. Charge as opposed to blink is what he's going for, by the way, with +1 armor, not attack, which explains the late gases in the natural base. But the charge is going to be done just in time to deal with it. The question is, though, are there enough just units on the field at the moment for NaNiwa? His photon cannon is not going to be done in time. It's going to finish, but it's going to finish at half health and be killed almost instantaneously. And there it goes down. You can see, scrambling cannons, NaNiwa realizes that he is not ready. He did not even cancel those 2 cannons, so already he is taking huge damage here. This 3rd base is almost certainly going to fall. I really see no way that NaNiwa can defend this. He is trying, though. Force fields are decent, but the numbers are just not there. ThorZaiIN has his +1 and is just going to demolish this army of NaNiwa. So it looks like it's going to be a very easy win here for ThorZaiIN. I really feel like NaNiwa should not have tried to defend this base. It was never going to happen. He should have taken the loss, or the small loss, retreated up the ramp, force fielded it, and waited for a couple more warp-ins to scare away this army, rather than committing so heavily to the defense of the 3rd, which was never going to make it. Meanwhile, NaNiwa is going to be supply blocked, having way too many pylons back behind his 3rd base, and NaNiwa has really disappointed this game. Storm is not even on the way. These High Templar should be an Archon right now. They are not going to get that much value out of feedbacks. The medevac energy isn't even high in the first place, and we're just going to see, I believe, him just be walked over here by ThorZaiIN and his force of Marine Marauder medevac. So this is quite a disappointing game from NaNiwa. He is still trying. He's still warping in Zealots. With the charge, they are quite powerful. They do have their +1 armor to help counter that +1 attack, but really, Zealot warp-ins are not going to deal with the standing army, which is just being reinforced constantly like this, and as such, there is the GG out of NaNiwa, and ThorZaiIN takes game 1 in convincing fashion. Now, we'll have to move on to game number 2. You'll have to hope that NaNiwa can pull something out in order to deal with this deficit which he's facing, as of course, in order to take out the series, he needs to get 2 wins in a row. ThorZaiIN looking pretty good. Going to be very confident after just completely dominating his opponent there. And again, there are a few things which I didn't like about NaNiwa's play. I mean, if he'd just gotten out Immortals from that robotics, he would have been okay. If he had not gone for that 3rd so fast ahead of his opponent, he probably would have been okay. You know, it seems like he was trying to do quite a few different things at once, trying to get up the economy, trying to set himself up for a late game, and just completely disregarding the early game. And despite his 3 observers, he evidently hadn't scattered enough in order to basically realize what was happening. I mean, he'd seen the inside of the base of his opponent, completely. There's nothing that he hadn't seen other than, obviously, the reactor on that subboard, which is pretty unremarkable. But still, just completely crumbled to, I guess, overconfidence. So anyway, that is game number 1. I'll hope to see you for game number 2 in just a moment. Please subscribe if you like this content, and I'll see you guys very, very